Hi, I'm Sammy, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this tiger. So the first thing that you need to do is pick out your canvas and your colors. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this on a 16 by 20 canvas, but you can use whatever canvas size you want. For our colors, we're going to be using orange, black, green, white, and brown. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is painting with our orange. So I'm going to mix some of my orange in with some of my brown to make it a slightly less vibrant color. I'm going to first mark where I'm going to put the tip of my nose, so that way I can use that as the guide for the rest of my painting. So I'm going to make the nose pretty big because it's going to take up a large area of this canvas. So I'm going to make the bottom of my nose right down here. So if you're painting on a different size canvas, it is about 2/3 of the way down of the canvas. Then I'm going to use my orange and I'm going to paint upwards for the rest of the nose. And my orange got mixed with a little bit of my black, and that's okay because that'll just add a little bit more dimension. So I'm using a little bit of a darker orange. You guys can use a lighter color orange if that's what you want. You can make a pink tiger, you can make a blue tiger, whatever color you want for your tiger. So I'm going to fill in the rest of my nose. I'm purposely leaving my brush strokes a little bit streaky to represent the tiger's fur. So next you want to think about where your eyeball is going to go. So my eyeball is going to go somewhere right around here. You don't have to do anything yet with your eyeball. Just have in your mind where you want your eye to be. So I'm going to continue to paint orange. So this is going to be the forehead of my tiger. My eye is going to go right around here. And this is just going to be the forehead. So now everything is going to be centered around where you put your nose. And mine is a little bit dark, so I'm going to add in a little bit more of the lighter orange to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And a little bit of white. So I want mine to be just a little bit lighter than that. Perfect. So you can see mine is a little bit of a more muted orange. Yours might be a little bit more bright than mine. It all is just dependent on what color you want your tiger. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is go ahead and add in the rest of those orange stripes. So our tiger is gonna have orange stripes, black stripes, and gray stripes. And you'll see how I'm gonna do that in a second. So what I'm gonna do, and so this is the tip of our nose, I'm just gonna add in orange stripes. And I am just going back and forth with my chisel brush. I have a lot of paint on the end of my brush and I'm just going back and forth. And you'll see the color of my orange is gonna change as I paint my stripes, and that's great because our tigers don't have uniform stripes. They do tend to shift a little bit in their color as they go along the body. And you can see I have a little bit of a darker stripe and then it gets a little bit lighter in the middle, and that's okay. I'm gonna add in a little stripe here underneath the eyeball. So again, my eye is gonna go right around here, and just adding in a little bit of a stripe here. And so say if your stripes are lighter than you wanted them to be and you want to add in a little bit of a darker stripe, you can go ahead and add in some brown. So I'm going to add in some brown to these so that way they match my nose a little bit better. And again, they don't have to be perfect because tiger stripes are not the exact same color over their entire body. So just do what makes you happy, add in the color as you want, but make sure you're not trying to be too perfect because it's not going to be perfect. All tigers have different stripes. My stripes are going to look different than your stripes. So just do what feels right, and just know that all of our paintings are going to look a little bit different. So I've added in that stripe, and I'm just going to add in a few more orange stripes. I'm going to add in this one here. And I am purposely leaving this area blank because we're gonna go and make that the mouth. And I'm gonna make the mouth on my tiger white, but you can make your mouth a different color if that's what you want. And then just one last stripe right down here. So perfect. It doesn't look like too much right now, but we're going to add in our white stripes. And so our white stripes aren't going to be completely white. We're actually going to make them a little bit gray. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of black to my white to make this really, really, really light gray. So you can see it's a really light gray. It's almost white. And we are going to paint all of the spots on the canvas that are white now this very light gray. So I'm going to start in here, and again, I'm just going to do brush strokes back and forth. You might pick up some of that orange while you're doing this, and that's okay. So I'm going to pick up some orange. I am painting with my canvas wet. If you do not want to pick up any of that orange, the best thing to do is to pause this video, go take a break, let your canvas dry, and come back when it's completely dry. You can also use a hairdryer to speed up the process a little bit, but it's all just dependent on how you want your canvas to turn out. So I want a little bit of orange to mix in with my gray. I'm okay with that. So then I'm gonna paint here and paint the area where my mouth is gonna go. So you're gonna wanna cover your entire canvas with this gray. And you can see mine has the gray is a little bit darker up here, and that's okay. The gray is going to shift over the color of the canvas. It's not going to be completely uniform, and that's okay. It just all depends on how much black you got in there. And seriously, a little bit of black goes a long way with this. I'm just gonna finish this up here. And then don't forget the part at the bottom. And again, all of our stripes are gonna look different. And that's perfect because no tiger has the same stripes. So it's just like real life. So don't worry about the placement of your stripes too much. Don't worry about how many stripes you have. You might have a different number of stripes than I do. And it's all just dependent on what you want your tiger to look like. No matter what you do, I am sure that it is going to turn out beautiful. So don't stress out about it. It's all going to work out in the end. Perfect. So yeah, doesn't look like too much now, but now we're going to go in and add some more of the fine details. So I'm going to switch back over to my chisel brush for this. And the first thing that we're gonna do is go in and add where we want to put our eyeball. So the tip of our nose is gonna be right here. So our eyeball should be right around here. So I'm gonna start by making an arc for the top half of my eyeball. And so it's a tiger, so they have these nice, beautiful cat eyes. And then I'm gonna make a sweep for the bottom part of the eyeball. Just like that. And so say if your eyeball did not turn out the shape that you wanted it to be, because these are hard, let it dry and we're gonna go back in and paint later. So just let it dry completely and I'll show you how to fix it. Then I'm gonna paint down here because tigers have these dark spots under their eyes for their stripes. Helps them with seeing things in the bright sunlight and camouflaging. And I am going to blend that together a little bit. And this is not perfect. Yours might look slightly different than mine. You may want more or less black there, but that's gonna be the start of my stripes. So then I'm gonna go in and add my black stripes. So I'm gonna start by adding some on the forehead here, and I am just going in a big up and down motion. Your stripes might be smaller than mine. You might not want such big black stripes on the forehead. Whatever you want. And then I'm gonna go in and add stripes in between all of our gray and orange stripes. This is gonna add that extra element and make it look like our tiger has real stripes. So just follow where you put those orange and gray stripes and add in a black stripe on the outside. So again, I am just adding these very small zigzags here, nothing super fancy. And I am going on the outside of all of my orange stripes and putting this black stripe in between the orange and the gray stripes. And if you want your black to be super black and not blend it with the other colors, make sure you let your canvas dry completely first. So you can see here, some of my gray is actually blending in with my black. I personally like that, but if you want your black to be nice and dark, you might want to let your canvas dry first. And then I'm going to do this one. Again, just doing these quick, long, zigzaggy brush strokes to get in that line. Not perfect, because this tiger's stripes are gonna come out perfect no matter how we paint them. And then don't forget your one at the bottom here. And then at this point, I like to look back and see if there's any spots that I've missed or any spots that I want to do a little bit darker. Okay. So there you go. You got a majority of your stripes on your tiger and it's starting to come together. Now we're gonna do the nose and the mouth. So the nose is gonna end up here. We're gonna do this black nose. So draw yourself a black line, just one thick black line. And then I'm gonna draw a nostril on the one side. So I'm gonna draw this circle over here and then even out my black line a little bit. So it should look something like that. Then I am going to add the mouth. So tigers have that mouth where it's, you know, like a cat. They have whiskers. So I'm just adding in that swoopy mouth that they have. And this guy looks like he smiles a little bit. Gonna do it on the other side. Touch up my nose a little bit. And you got your mouth. Then I'm gonna add in the chin. So just going underneath the mouth and connecting those two pieces with a line, a curved line there. I'm gonna kind of define the mouth a little bit with another black stripe. So I'm gonna follow this stripe down and meet it, make that round spot that those tigers have. So we're gonna just make a black line and make it connect with the mouth at the bottom here. So now you have the majority of your tiger painted. We're just gonna add in some of the finishing touches. And so my tiger looks super happy. Yours might not look as happy. It is all just dependent on how you painted your tiger. So I'm gonna add in spots for the whiskers. So I'm gonna add some dots here. You might want to add in some black in your white, make some more stripes. It just all depends on how you want your tiger. I forgot to paint this line, so I'm going to go back in and paint that line. One of the last things that we're going to do is we're going to paint the eye. So I chose green for my eye, but you can pick whatever color you want for your tiger's eye. For this, you're gonna want a more fine brush, so I'm gonna use this taper brush. I already have some green on it. And so I am mixing in my green with some white to make it a little bit lighter and add a little bit more dimension. But depending on what color you want the eye, you might pick a different color or you might have it brighter, darker. It just depends on how you want your tiger's eye to look. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint in here, that nice green. And so say if you painted this black outline and it's not the shape that you want it to be, you can go and change it now. Make sure your canvas is completely dry and paint over that black with this bright green. The green should cover all the black. It might blend a little bit and that's okay. It'll just add more character to your painting. I tend to use really heavy paint, so I need to let it dry before I add my pupil. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit before I add my pupil. I'm actually gonna go back in and outline the eye a little bit at the top. So while I'm waiting for my eyeball to dry, I'm gonna add in some whiskers. You definitely don't need to add in whiskers. Your tiger will look just fine without it, but I'm going to just to show you guys. So I'm using a chisel brush, and I'm just gonna use some very quick brush strokes to add in these whiskers. So I'm gonna start at these dots that I painted and just use these quick brush strokes to add in whiskers. And you can see, and I'll show you guys a close-up in a second, that my whiskers are really heavy paint towards the center and they're a little bit lighter as they go out. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Just a few quick brush strokes and you're good. So the last thing that I'm gonna do is I am going to add the pupil to my eyeball. So depending on how you want your tiger looking is dependent on where you're gonna put your pupil. So I want this tiger looking straight at us, so I am gonna put it pretty close to the center. So I'm gonna choose to make it towards the top here. You wanna make sure when you're making details like this that you start small so that way you can make them bigger if you want to. It's a lot easier to make them bigger rather than make them smaller later. So I am just, and that's where I'm gonna start with my pupil. And I'm just gonna fill that in with black. And my green is not completely dry, so it is gonna blend a little bit, and that's okay. If you want your black to be nice and dark, you should definitely wait for your painting to dry completely before adding in this pupil. Perfect, now we have our pupil. So the very last thing that we have to do before our tiger is complete is add in some highlights. And I'm actually gonna make that pupil a little bit bigger. And that's why we start small. So you can always make it bigger. You want that pupil to be taking up a decent size of your eye. So then the last thing that we're gonna do before we're all finished is add in some highlights to that eye. So to do this, I'm gonna use a very small fine tip brush and just add in 2 small highlights. So I'm gonna add in 1 dot down here and 1 there. And that's it, our tiger's done. So that's it for our painting today. I hope you guys had fun. I know I had a lot of fun painting this. If you do paint this, I would absolutely love to see your masterpiece. I'm gonna put a link to my Instagram in the description, so if you guys tag me in your masterpieces, I would absolutely love to see them. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Thanks!